Ladies and gentlemen, the Windy City has become the Lawless City. Chicago's under siege, not from any invading army, but from within. The Tren de Aragua gang, a vicious criminal organization, has infiltrated the streets, leaving a trail of violence that would make Al Capone blush. We're talking murder, assault, robbery, you name it. And they're doing it. And where's Mayor Johnson? Where's Kamala Harris? Twiddling their thumbs while Rome burns? Well, right now we'll be shining a spotlight on the migrant crime wave that's threatening to engulf us all. And thankfully, Donald Trump is about to enact Operation Aurora, which would get these folks off the streets. Now, folks, in these dangerous times, you need to be prepared for anything. That's why I never hit the road without my Car Vision X dash cam. This is not any old camera. It's your personal guardian on the road. 4K Ultra HD night vision, 24/7 motion detection that captures every detail, keeping you safe and secure. Whether it's protecting you from false accusations and traffic incidents or providing crucial evidence in emergencies, Car Vision X has got your back. And here's the kicker. You can order now, carvisionx.com. You'll get free shipping. Don't wait until it's too late. Equip your car with Car Vision X today and drive with confidence. You'll find the link in the description. So I got a message from Terry Newsome. This was last night. And he said, Gary, I just got this FOIA request from the Chicago Police Department. You got to break this news. And I said, let's go. Let's figure this out. Let's talk about it. And what he discovers is that hundreds of Tren de Aragua-related crimes have now been revealed through FOIA documents that were obtained by Terry Newsome. From license violations to first-degree murder, the gang's footprint is everywhere across Chicago. And this is the actual FOIA request. Now, according to Newsome, documents show cases piling up since 2021, ranging from identity theft and aggravated assault to murder. The gang is not just about small-time crime. It's deeply entrenched criminal network. And you could see, look at all this. License violation, first-degree murder. It goes on. First-degree murder highlighted multiple times in the reports, along with violations ranging from license issues to assaulting law enforcement. It's a criminal organization, shows zero respect for law and order as well as Chicagoans. 3 first-degree murders initially disclosed here, being brought to light by these FOIA requests. The question is, what else is being hidden from us? And where are the Chicago officials? This has been going on. The list of offenses include, look at this list, aggravated assaults on children, orders of protection violations, strong-arm robberies. It's not just a gang, it's an organized terror operation operating in our communities, all thanks to Kamala Harris. Despite Mayor Brandon Johnson and CPD's awareness, the revelations from the FOIA documents paint a very bleak picture of how deeply this group has infiltrated Chicago. And have you heard about this on the news? No, you haven't. This is what's actually happening. This is just local law enforcement's been battling the crime wave, but silence from public officials is deafening. How much longer are the people of Chicago going to be victim? And this is in Chicago. We know this is happening in all the other major cities. No one ever talks about Chicago. You never hear about it. You hear about maybe New York and Ohio or Aurora, Colorado. This is right here in Chicago. This is what Terry brought to light. So the crime wave is spreading. If it can spread throughout Chicago, no community is safe, and CPD data gives us a clear message that we need to pay attention. Will they take action? Will the officials take action? Or are they going to let the gangs battle it out? Because the gangs in Chicago, the gangs, the domestic gangs in Chicago, they're going to go to war with this group. And the streets, if you think they're bad now, they're going to get worse. Terry Newsome brought this to my attention. He posted this to his X account, contacted me. I said, dude, you just got to put it on X, get it out there. And of course, this is bizarre what Bill Clinton was caught on camera saying today. It lines up perfectly. And of course, the open border problem is why we're seeing what's happening in Chicago. But here's what Bill Clinton, he admitted on video that Laken Riley would not have died if the Kamala Biden regime actually vetted the millions of illegals pouring into the country. And of course, the Laken Riley story is just one story.
Young woman who'd been killed. You had a case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant. Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened. But if they're all properly vetted, and that doesn't happen, and America is not having enough babies to keep our populations up. Okay. So we need immigrants that have been vetted to do work. There wouldn't be a problem. And he couldn't keep people all torn up and upset. You had a case in Georgia.
Think about what he said right there. First of all, he calls out the Kamala Harris regime for not vetting people coming across the border. And then he goes in and says we need to have vetted immigrants because we're having a population decline or something along those lines. Perhaps, maybe, stop aborting the children. Maybe you could have more people in this country. And we've also got J.D. Vance humiliating Martha Raddatz. But before I do that, this is Mayorkas on Face the Nation. And he's talking about these individuals coming across the border. Now, the crime wave is happening. And of course, we have brought to everyone's attention that they're trying to register these people to vote. But Mayorkas comes out and says this.
For the notion that we in law enforcement have sought to intentionally allow individuals to cross the border illegally for the purpose of voting is preposterous, and everyone should condemn that rhetoric.
No, we're not going to condemn that rhetoric. We're going to actually point out the truth because we've been covering it here. The fact of the matter is that they are registering these people to vote. The NGOs are doing it. They're doing it at the administrative level when they sign up for driver's licenses. It's happening all over the country. Like he's going to come out and actually admit that? Of course not. Here is J.D. Vance.
Apartment complex, the incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border. Americans are so fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be. And I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting because you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that Donald Trump has said rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs. I worry so much more about that problem than anything else here. We've got to get American communities in a safe space again. And unfortunately, when you let people in by the millions, most of whom are unvetted, most of whom you don't know who they really are, you're going to have problems like this. Kamala Harris, 94 executive orders that undid Donald Trump's successful border policies. We knew this stuff would happen. They bragged about opening the border, and now we have the consequences, and we're living with it. We can do so much better, but frankly, we're not going to do better, Martha, unless Donald Trump calls this stuff out. I'm glad that he did.
The incidents were...
I love the fact that he called her out. Like downplaying the fact, just a handful of apartment complexes. Like no big deal. But let's do a little flashback. Mayorkas says, we need to condemn this rhetoric. Well, what does Tucker Carlson have to say?
Voting rights. 20 of the numbers you need to understand. Yale University released a study last week by 3 researchers, all of them liberal, I believe, who concluded that the actual number of illegal aliens in this country is not 11 million. It's north of 22 million. 22 million. Fact 1. Fact 2. The Democratic Party is now, as a matter of policy, calling for the legalization of all illegals in this country. Citizenship voting rights. 22 million new voters. Fact 3. The overwhelming majority of first-time immigrant voters vote Democrat. Fact 4. The largest margin in American presidential history was 17 million votes, 1984 election between Mondale and Reagan.
And Reagan, yeah.
17 million. You would add to our voter rolls 22 million, at least, permanent electoral majority in perpetuity. That's what this is about. It's not about making the country better, serving our labor needs, helping the population. It's about putting Democrats in power forever. That is the truth of our immigration debate, period. The numbers you need to understand.
So Tucker just blew Bill Clinton's excuse for having vetted immigrants, blew it out of the water. And he blew Mayorkas's recent remarks about this rhetoric, blew it out of the water with straight facts. Oh, here's Tucker again.
Lie. Electronic voting machines are secure, which they are not. By the way, that's a lie. And any country that has electronic voting machines is by definition at risk of having its elections stolen. By definition, no country that cared about democracy would have electronic voting machines. Electronic voting machines are secure.
So we've got this crime wave that's happening in this country. And it's specifically because Kamala Harris has these open borders. You got, I mean, the crimes here are unspeakable. Murder after murder after murder happening in the streets of Chicago. You have Venezuelan gangs taking over just a handful of apartment complexes. Thankfully, Donald Trump has made his pledge to kickstart Operation Aurora to get these people out of the country. While at the same time, you got Mayorkas condemning the rhetoric about voting, and you got Bill Clinton saying we need to have more people because they're not going to take the jobs. But in the same breath saying that, that if they vetted them, they wouldn't have the violence. Do you see what's happening here? So the situation in Chicago is just a stark warning of what happens when we prioritize political correctness over public safety. The Tren de Aragua gang's reign of terror is just the beginning if we don't take action now. Thankfully, President Trump has promised to once he gets into office. So here's my question to you. What do you think it will take to restore law and order to our cities? Is Operation Aurora enough? Tougher immigration policies like shutting down the border until we get a handle of this thing? A change in leadership to Donald Trump? Of course. Or something more? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Believe me, I read them. Because your ideas could be the key to saving our streets.